1992 and Bobo Holloman from 1953. All of them had second jobs as plumbers. All of them. Bumpus Jones, Bobo Holloman, Ted Breitenstein.
There is something about old-timey baseball players that they all have names of Dick Tracy villains.
Put on the poll, Guillermo. Do old-timey baseball players all have the names of Dick Tracy villains? But we've seen baseball evolve into that kind of all or nothing. We've seen basketball evolve to, everybody was trying to get the worst shot in the sport. Never mind, let's go 53-pointers. Where Chauncey Billups is viewed as saying a counterculture thing when he comes in his press conference and says, I'm not one of those 53s guys. I don't want to play that way. What do you mean you don't want to play that way? You're playing the wrong way if you're not playing that way. That's been the evolution in that sport. And now in football, you see the evolution of is the Kyler Murray coming? Is Baker Mayfield, who is wildly athletic, not the kind of athletic I'm even talking about, because I'm talking about Trey Lance rolling to his left, because that guy in San Francisco believes with his running style and everything else, he could be Josh Allen. It's the same kind of athletic skill set.
Of that draft class, it's Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield that were in that draft class, I believe. And Baker Mayfield would be considered the drop back passer there, and he's really good throwing on the run. You want to roll Baker Mayfield out now.
Is this going to be a throw we now see? Rolling to your left, sidearm across your body, 50 yards?
I'm not going to get used to that. I don't think. Maybe we see it with more regularity because arms like Kyler Murray and Trey Lance exist, but that is something special, that throw. I still maintain that is a special throw that only the elite of the elite can display.
But when you say, let's do this for a second, because Jay Cutler came into the league with a big arm, but this was the rare thing in that sport. I think a lot of us experience the same way, because I don't think maybe you guys saw, I wasn't paying that close attention to his collegiate highlight, what little there were shown during the draft. I didn't see that. Josh Allen comes out of nowhere, and he's more athletic than any of us know. And Trey Lance showed us on one throw, that's why they drafted. That's why they did all of that for a quarterback that none of us had heard of. That's how that guy got into the first round, because he can roll to his left and sidearm, throw it 50 yards across the field.
We are doing peak preseason overreaction game right now, and I love it. I love it.
It's a holy shit arm. It's a holy shit arm. How often do you get the holy shit arm where you're just watching on television? We have so much access to these college guys. This guy might as well be the Loch Ness Monster. We have not seen this.
That's a great point, though, by Jess, because there was one preseason game that Deshaun Kaiser had that I'm like, holy shit, the Browns have fixed it. We got Aaron Rodgers.
Kaiser had a cannon, though.
Dude.
He could throw it downfield with ease.
Almost Stephen Morris-like.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Morris. I saw a headline the other day, Leaf outduels Manning in preseason. Of course it doesn't mean anything, but you got holy shit arm. How often do you get holy shit arm?
You know, it does mean something. Justin Fields looked so good against the Dolphins.
Holy shit.
He is the savior of the Bears, Dan.
Slower start, but boy, did he get comfortable.
He makes a Bears uniform look cool. Do you know how hard that is?
Yeah, it's very
for a quarterback.
hard.
When Rex Grossman and Jay Cutler and Matt Orton, Kyle Orton, whatever his name was, whatever. They're all named Matt.
About?
They're just all named
Who's
Matt.
Who's all named Matt?
I was thinking of Kyle Orton, but then I know someone named Matt something, so then
Who's
I combined
all
it.
named Matt?
An easy mistake to make.
Quarterbacks are all named Matt.
Jim Miller.
Well, you know someone named Matt.
Jessica, what the hell are you talking about?
The Bears, Dad. The Bears are back.
Yeah, double down.
How many quarterbacks do they have named Matt?
Everyone's named Matt.
Yeah, there are.
It's a thing.
It's a popular name.
Are you just digging in on this? And
think about quarterback busts of the last 20 years. Somehow they're all named Matt Leinart, Matt Barkley. They're all named Matt.
Matt Ryan won an MVP.
Matt Nagy's the coach.
Matt Stafford turned out to be pretty good. Not a bust. It's not a bust thing.
There's just a lot of Matts of the 2010s.
Okay, you need to stop now. You need to stop now.
Justin Fields looks so good.
No,
Dan.
but you've gotten
he
carried
looks
away.
a lot better than Jim Miller did in that uniform. I'll give him that.
Shane Matthews used to be a quarterback for the Bears.
Is that what she's doing? Because the last name starts with Matt? Okay.
Matt Forte used to be their running back.
Their coach is named Matt. She just got caught up in the air and started faking it is what happened, correct?
I forgot Kyle Orton's first name, and I assumed it was Matt because he's a guy named Kyle Orton. He could easily have been a Matt. I guarantee you his mom was debating Matt or Kyle.
Okay, this is
She's
where we
right.
are now. She's doubled down with stubbornness so much to guarantee us that the mother was debating whether to name him Matt. I don't think you can report that with any degree of conviction.
I think I can, and I just did.
Okay, I can go to
And
the.
that is a Jessica Smetana exclusive.
No, I go to the ocean. Get out of here. Just walk to the ocean. Get out of here.
First time? We don't have the cameras for that.
That's okay. Just let her take
just
the
hold up
camera
my
with
Zoom.
you. Put it on whatever. Put it on your
All
gram, whatever, or the TikTok.
Well,
Put
I'm
it
gonna-
somewhere. You walk to the ocean. Get out of
We're
here.
gonna lose the if you take it with you, we're gonna lose the internet feed. But just join the Zoom on your phone. Go for it.
Fitzpatrick, did you guys see? You know that Dominique and Mina surprised me because all of last year they were touting the idea that the Washington football team is a quarterback away, that they're good enough at defense, that Chase Young, he's in the Myles Garrett mold, right? He's one of these simply unblockable human beings. There's just nothing that you can do. It doesn't matter how good your left tackle is. This is a level of athleticism you're simply not going to be able to block, and he's going to wreck just about everything that you're doing. Somehow, the evolution of Jadeveon Clowney has gotten to this point where you've got a couple of guys who simply can't be blocked. Aaron Donald's one of them.
Greg Rousseau kind of, if we're doing preseason overreaction, did you see how much bigger he was than Penei? And he dominated him. How did this happen where Greg Rousseau slips that far to that team? Damn it.
So you saw that Fitzpatrick said of Brian Flores, I respect the hell out of him and we have a good relationship, but I thought it was a joke that he replaced me with Tua. I was floored by that decision. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, who I think with the New York Jets, his unhappiest season was sort of he's the line for guy who's either a bottom rung starter or the very best of the backups. He's just lying on that sort of mediocre quarterback line. But does the Washington football team need anything more than a caretaker at that position? Because Dominique and Mina would be telling you that they're so good everywhere else that all they need is not incompetent quarterback play. And what you saw from Tampa last season, Mike, is what it looked like when your quarterback doesn't throw 30 interceptions. Tampa won the Super Bowl because they were good enough everywhere else. Were you guys surprised by that at all? That Ryan Fitzpatrick was floored, that was finally honest because he was professional. He's professional steward, caretaker, veteran guy in Miami who didn't make any waves about the idea that Tua replaced him. But
he was having one of his better seasons, Ryan Fitzpatrick. He knows when he plays poorly enough to lose his job. He's experienced that. This was a mind bleep for him because he was playing really well with the Dolphins. Chan Gailey also backed him up. I know Chan Gailey is a Fitzpatrick guy. That's in part why Fitzpatrick is in Miami.
I have such a hard time believing that football team, after 20 years of incompetence and mismanagement, is now a Ryan Fitzpatrick away from being the best thing in a dreadful division. Like, is that really where we are? That if you just upgrade to merely Ryan Fitzpatrick?
I think that's where that division is. It was just a really crappy division last year. And it might be the difference because where Alex Smith, as incredible of a story as it was, come on. He was a worse version of Alex Smith. How could he not be, by the way?
Alex Smith got a broadcasting job. We love giving those to the Alex Smiths of the world. The Alex Smiths of the world always get the broadcasting jobs.
I also think it's a bit harsh to say that Ryan Fitzpatrick is that bad of a starting quarterback. Like in Miami, he was good, took a terrible team, one of the worst teams in the history of the league, and won 6 games with them. And then last year was 3-3 before he got pulled, won a massive game off the bench against the Raiders late in the season to put them within striking distance of the playoffs. He was good for them. He largely, outside of New York, has been a decent quarterback. Like, I don't think, like, I remember when the Dolphins originally brought him in during the tank for Tua season, the book on him was he's too good of a starter to take us to a tank, which he was. So I think it's a bit harsh to say that he's bad.
I didn't mean to suggest that he's bad, although I guess it sort of sounds that way. I just think of him as an average NFL starting quarterback, fundamentally average. I guess I made him bad by saying he's on the bottom rung of the quarterbacks because there are some bad quarterbacks in the league, but I think that's average quarterback play is what you're getting, with some spectacular finishes sometimes, and although not last year, a whole bunch of turnovers that make you scratch your head.
But Dan, to your point, with only 2 quarterbacks, one not even playing quarterback anymore, still being around from 2010, the new rookie wage scale has allowed teams to divest from picks they feel they missed a lot sooner. Nick Foles was out of the league at one point, then he wins the Super Bowl MVP, and he's barely hanging on now. There was a preseason game where a former Super Bowl MVP was doing fourth quarter mop-up duty in a preseason. So right now, the league, that's the evolution at the position, is we all want the Mahomes, and we're just going to keep taking hacks until we get the Mahomes.
You understand, though, that what it is that you're talking about there, and I did not expect to start here with so much Washington football, is 2 decades of unfathomable mismanagement that has Daniel Snyder, the commissioner, scares him away from daily duties, but he's still around everything. And it's a bogus thing because the commissioner works for these owners and he's actually somebody who is basically in the employ of Daniel Snyder. So nobody, not minority owners, not scandal, not gross negligence and mismanagement has gotten Daniel Snyder to relinquish ownership of that team. You're telling me that that can be erased, 20 years of failure in a bad division, by merely adding an ancient quarterback who is one of the, after Tom Brady, it's funny to say, champion Tom Brady, Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be among the 5 oldest starters in the league, that Washington is playing as if they're a piece away, and that piece is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm curious.
But that's how it's built, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying that is what they're doing with the Ryan Fitzpatrick move, is it not?
It is, but I'm more marveling at his career because, as I mentioned, teams are divesting from picks and quarterbacks that aren't good enough. It's a remarkable achievement to be bang on average for as long as he has. Because at that age, they'll just move you out of the league. Guys like him and Josh McCown also displayed this skill set. It's really impressive to have that kind of career in the NFL in today's day and age.
It is unfair of me to do, and I will leave off this topic now because this is way too much Washington football talk and way too much Ryan Fitzpatrick talk. But as much as I'm somebody who doesn't measure quarterbacks by wins and losses, last season is Ryan Fitzpatrick's best season while he was benched, at least in part because it's the most he's ever won, right? He's usually a quarterback on a losing team that does not make the playoffs, correct? That is he is part of the Buffalo 17-year run of not getting anywhere in the playoffs when he was the guy that they were giving money to.
I think his best year was probably that year with the Jets where he had Decker and Brandon Marshall, and he was demanding a big contract, and the Jets caved.
Ryan Fitzpatrick has never played in a playoff game, correct? He is a quarterback who has never once, and again, this is not fair to measure them.
He might have. Yeah, I think that was the thing. He might have, because his performance against the Raiders got them into the playoffs. And remember, he had a bout with coronavirus. It wasn't a playoff game. They lost to Buffalo to keep them out of the playoffs. And the hopes were dashed because Ryan Fitzpatrick was that good for Miami in comparison to the young Tua.
Is Jessica checking in from the beach? Can we get an update? I don't think you're
nice out here, Dan.
Okay, this is not the way this is supposed to work.
You want her to actually walk into the ocean?
I mean,
I don't think we can make anybody do that anymore. What the hell? There's a theater of the mind.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go to the ocean.
For a while.
You got to go to the ocean, though.
Yeah,
that's the punishment.
I'm sorry, Jess. You're going to have to just try to hide the feet. Otherwise, you'll show up on Wiki Feet. But just, you got to get in the water.
Yeah, I can't take my shoes off. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you still understand what she was trying to do with the mats and digging in on the mats and the firing of the mats? It may just
She just misspoke.
Yeah, but she didn't let go.
But she wouldn't let go of it. She wouldn't. I don't understand why you wouldn't just let go of that immediately. Just general stubbornness is what we're dealing with.
It looks like we're inching closer towards the water, though, Dan. Modern technology, rig jobs, shoes are off. Let's get in that water.
Billy, I think Jessica experienced her first Marlins Cubs game. She experienced her first local baseball game while in town? Did you see any of the footage of sad Cubs fan Jessica Smetana?
I was
Ooh,
getting
it feels good, Dan. Thank you.
Is this the first time you've been in the Miami Beach ocean? Is this the first time that you've actually visited the beach since you moved to Miami?
Yeah, and honestly, I should come here more often. This is pretty nice. I appreciate you sending me out here. I probably should make more mistakes, honestly. This is not bad.
This has really backfired on me.
Woo!
Yeah.
Ooh, it's so refreshing.
Yeah. Hurry up and get in with that complexion, though. You're gonna have a problem in like about 5 minutes.
I have SPF 60 on, Mike. I wear it every morning. Don't worry about me.
Wow. Every morning?
Yeah, I have to protect my skin.
Oh, moving to Miami was such a bad call on your part. Although right now it seems like it's worked out for you.
This is probably the best day of work I've had in 6 years since I joined the workforce.
Clear. Jessica, you are really about this Marlins life because formerly your Chicago Cubs came to town.
Right.
I did see a rogue video of you wearing a Cubs jersey.
Yeah. That was someone made me do that. So I lost a bet. So I had to wear a
You
Cubs
made
jersey.
you do that.
No, Billy, I didn't choose that. I would have worn my Marlins. The Marlins sent me beautiful jerseys, Billy. They sent me a Hawaiian shirt. They sent me a white jersey, a really nice jersey. They sent me a blue jersey, like one of the ones that doesn't button up, you know? And then they sent me this nice t-shirt. They got me a hat. They got me bobbleheads.
Roy's face while you're describing everything. I saw cartoon steam coming out of his ears.
Everybody's face. Everybody, Chris and Billy want to bury her, I think, because she can be purchased. Her allegiances can be purchased. And Roy is seething with Marlins envy.
Well, they also gave me a sampling of all of the food from around the stadium.
This is not fair.
Well,
That's another thing.
I have gone to like 50 games in the last few years for the Marlins, and I have never received a free hot dog. She got a whole suitcase full of food.
There was a burger, there was pizza, there was sushi. They have sushi at Marlins Stadium. The
God.
Loan, excuse me.
You were treated as like some sort of VIP guest that was allowed to treat the stadium or the ballpark as a buffet?
I mean, this is...
Yeah, the tickets also behind home plate.
I mean...
Are
And
you
the
kidding
best
me?
thing, Dan, because of COVID, I was like a little nervous because it's indoors, but everyone was social distancing there. It was great.
That's just how Marlins fans roll.
It's unbelievable, and I know that we've called her Stugotz, but she really was Stugotz. Now that she said it, she was given tickets to the game, decided to show up in Cubs gear, even though the Cubs were not responsible for the tickets that she was given, went to the game with clothes for the other team. Then they showed up after giving her a full wardrobe of Marlins clothes, a full wardrobe of clothes she could have chosen from. She wore Cubs clothes, goes to the game, has publicly criticized the food on Twitter, even having never been there, publicly criticized the food at Marlins Park. So they said, you know what? Let's give her everything at Marlins Park, hand delivered, from what I understand, to her seat.
What?
A bag of everything.
What?
Just took it to her,
Ridiculous.
hand delivered.
What?
Everything that they have there. And
Really?
it seems like no matter how negative she is about this organization, they'll just keep giving her more until she says something
You
positive.
were treated
Ridiculous.
like a queen, like a princess? Like, what is this? That you get a better VIP experience than anybody?
Dan, I didn't ask for any of this. The Marlins did this for me. They did this for me to welcome me to Miami. They've given me a better welcome down here than anyone else has, including the show, I believe. Like, they really went above and beyond in a
But
way
why?
that was spectacular because they care about me, Dan. We're friends now.
But you wore a Cubs jersey.
Well, I lost a bet. Like I said, like I had to wear the Cubs jersey, so I wore the Cubs jersey. The details don't matter.
If they were trying to court you, why did they give you food?
Well, the food was delicious, Mike. I will say.
How's the dysentery?
The Loan. I feel fantastic today. I had nachos with barbecue, like shredded pork on it.
Holy shit.
And then I had, there was like this rice and shredded pork with maduros. And then there was,
With what?
sweet plantains.
I could fight the Marlins PR right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is infuriating.
Everything was really good.
It's
Yes, it is.
infuriating.
Very much
It's-
so.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. They just rolled out this red magic carpet for her.
You had to, oh man, they made you feel like you had to eat the food. I'm so sorry.
It was great, Mike. I had a fantastic
They
experience.
brought it to your
And-
seat?
Dan, my Marlins, they swept the Cubs. That team of yesteryear. My Marlins are on a 4-game win streak. We got 1 against the Padres and then 3 against the Cubbies. And Dan, there was a grand slam and an 11-run second inning of the game. It was electric.
How was the 7th inning stretch?
It was so great when I watched it from home because I left a
What?
little bit early because the score was like 14-6, Billy. Like,
Oh, my
the Cubs weren't coming back from that. They were dead and buried and gone. And Roy, I don't want to hear it because you know what else happened while I was at the Marlins Stadium?
What's that,
Excuse
Jessica?
me, the Loan. Someone came up to me, Dan, with a bag of merchandise
More
for
shit?
our very own Roy Bellamy.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, wow. This is a big plot twist here. And now Roy's allegiances have, look at this. This is, I
20 goddamn
No extra,
years.
no extra
Yes.
food?
mean, Roy
Very
loves
good.
free stuff, man.
I should add that this was from
Wait,
Fanatics,
did
not
they give
from
you
the
a fanny
Marlins.
pack?
They gave me a
Wow.
fanny pack.
They gave-
Back.
This is going straight to my fanny.
Be careful.
You got to be careful with that one.
Look at. I'm
got a
scared. I
hat.
am scared
I got a hat.
one
Wait,
day.
wait,
that-
wait. Does a hat have a sponsor in the back?
It's the Velcro hat, not the new one.
That's not. It's not even fitted.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
Wait a
That's
minute.
all
Did
right.
Roy get
I
a
got
bunch
my own
of
fitted
flea
cap right
market
here, so,
stuff?
yeah.
Wait a minute.
Come on, guys.
It's just disappointing.
Wait a minute.
What
Did-
else did they give you? I defy you to ever use
Oh
that
no.
fanny pack.
This is not
I'll put it
feeling
on
like
right now. Don't
this
tempt
is
me.
this
They
is
gave
not.
you a car flag.
Oh, great.
Give me a nice T-shirt.
A protein shake.
Not regularly. but-
Protein shaker.
Wow. Look at all this. This is why the Marlins aren't nice to you guys, because you're mean. You're
Well,
mean
I'm,
about
I'm
everything.
gonna say
Real.
it. I'm gonna say it. This is not equality.
No, this is not.
None of this is equality. Roy got a bag of crud that might not make it out of the studio.
They
He did
Jim Crowed me? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think that we should take a
What
gift
is that
basket.
even? Is
It looks
that,
like a koozie.
is that what the base runners put on their hands when they're sliding to
Yeah.
protect their hands?
Yeah, you know what? You
That
might be
is-
right.
That is
Maybe.
It is.
That is an awful giveaway.
They gave you a hand sock.
Javier from Fanatics, Roy, said he was a big fan. I think you guys are being a little rude to
Super
Javier.
rude.
It
I didn't
is.
say
Super rude to
anything
Javier.
negative.
It is rude, but hold on a second. Can we make a distinction, please, with hand-fed sushi brought to your seat and a hand sock?
Well, they didn't feed me the sushi, Dan. I had to feed myself the sushi, but they did bring
Oh,
it to my
wow.
seat.
For you.
Yeah, I got my hands a little messy. I would have preferred if the head of, Marlins PR just dropped it into my
Roy,
mouth.
can you give me an assessment?
in
The stuff
ancient
that
Rome.
she got, she seemed to get higher end, classier stuff. You've got a flag of questionable fabric that that can be winning him. I'm not wrong. You're next to this, right?
Velcro hat.
This all of this stuff is stuff you'd find in the dollar store. Is it not?
It does not seem like if one put this flag on their car that it would flap in the wind.
Yes or no, all dollar store stuff. There's not one thing there that would escape, that be overpriced at the dollar store.
Dollar store's a bit harsh.
This shirt is already shrunk and it hasn't even been
That care package cost 17 cents.
It's near a dryer.
Now you see why Jessica gets things and you guys don't.
Thank you, Billy. I am the only one who will stand up for this
Billy,
organization.
Billy, you cannot be jealous of the bag of crap that Roy just got, that he compared to Jim Crow. Like you can absolutely, you're not allowed to be jealous of the bag of crud that he just got.
Did you see the game we did with Mike Schur? I love Marlins crap.
That flag has less bend than the one on the moose.
I'm going to a game in a couple weeks. I expect a buffet to be set up for me in a suite and walked up there just for me.
Not after this, Cody.
Not at all.
Good luck with
Roy,
that.
Roy is so happy, though. He has been considered. Roy has
Dan.
been thought of. He does not need much. It could even be Jim Crow gifts. He does not need much.
It's a Herschel bag. That's a good brand. That's quality. And it's
It is.
embroidered with a Miami Marlins insignia.
And Roy, look, on the bright side, you didn't have to eat the food.
That's true.
Food was phenomenal, Dan.
Yeah, I'll back channel with you. Or
That's-
maybe you've already back channeled the food.
Feel great, Mike. I
That-
feel great.
that
And
is-
my Marlins, Dan, my Marlins are on top.
They're at home this week against the Braves. Go check them out.
Top, aren't they fifth in the division?
They're like 12 games under 500.
No, they're fourth now, guys.
Oh, wow. My bad.
They're on
Apologies
top
to the
of fourth
Marlins.
place of the
Climbing
division.
fast.
Yep. The Marlins.
It's a good close, too.
That is a good dismount,
just
Jessica.
saying
You deserve
Marlins.
all of the gifts that you get. What happened to Mina Kimes on the Rams broadcast during the preseason where she just was trying not to embarrass herself because she admires Aqib Talib? I guess that was the first time she was working with him, and she's trying not to embarrass herself. And I guess she didn't know that the camera was headed toward the booth and she was standing up. She's wearing white pants, and the broadcaster says, "We're live to alert everyone, live and on television." And Mina says, "And so are my pants." And then the camera just closes. This was not on the broadcast. This was something that someone did on that fiddled with the video and went close up on Mina's face, and you could see the shame and the embarrassment on her face. And I'm telling you, ESPN, you need to put that in the Monday Night Football booth. It will give you an endless stream of content between her excellence on football analysis, which is something that includes film study and reporting and advanced analytics. Mina really knows her stuff, on football, can discuss it with anybody who's played football. And then there's the goofy side as well, which is just endlessly endearing and endlessly entertaining.
Yeah, forever green. She is she's
It's unbelievable.
in a different way because she is just so charming, and it's endearing to the audience because it's a real person back there. And many people have spoken to what a resource it is to have Sean McVay, to have him discuss game plan in football with you. Everyone says that's the next great broadcaster if he ever leaves the league. They were all sitting, but because Mina's shorter, in order to have everybody level on the shot.
And was sitting on her legs probably, as she often does. Her and Katie would both do highly questionable that way. They just sort of sit on their legs while doing it.
Thank you for helping paint a picture, Dan. That's valuable experience in this discussion because you've done television with them. She has to be higher. Her chair has to be higher. So that's why she says, "and my pants," because broadcasters do this thing where everybody has to be the same height. Chris Collinsworth is a very tall man. When they're doing stand-up shots, he's not the same height as Al Michaels. But you know why he is on your television? Al Michaels has a box he steps on.
Wait, Dan, we're trying to figure out exactly how Mina would sit. Like, is it like with like on her knees, like kind of?
No, it's just like one leg folded under
under
herself. And it's a pretty, I think it's a pretty common thing. Mina is excellent, but one of the things that is consistently stupefying, because she's also brilliant, she can do those New York Times crossword puzzles in a ridiculous amount of time. She's got a vast wealth of knowledge on a number of different things, but she can't figure out when she's on camera. She's got like a weird hole in how her intellect works, and it is charming every time. She would screw up the most basics because she has no training. Does she have any training in the doing of this other than doing it?
That's precisely her experience. Just on the job training. It's hard. So you can understand why someone from Monday Night Football would probably be like, "What is this?" They usually have polished professionals, but then again, they hired Jason Whitten.
That's amazing. Is he still in the league? Is he going to play for the Raiders again? Button hooks all season? Is Jason Whitten going to make a team this year?
I think he could do it for the rest of his life.
He could do it. Yeah. We've said it before. He could trail a dialysis machine out there and
he might be out.
He'll get you three. He could get you 3 catches for 2 yards.
He's still available, and I think there's some tread on those tires.
Do you think he gets out of bed in the morning and runs a button hook before he brushes his teeth?
What do you think the sound is when he gets out of bed? Because I think it's just.
It is somebody breaking through rust like a porpoise breaches the surface.
There's a hand on the knees every time. Ugh.
Oh God. Yeah, it goes from laying down to sat on the edge of the bed with hand on knee.
And then he gives some generic description of how he slept in the night.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show.
Something like that.
Does Jason Whitten run a button hook as soon as he emerges from bed before he brushes his teeth? Because I do believe that he sticks his ass on the sink, and it's like he boxes out the sink. He runs in there and then turns around and boxes out the sink, and he's open. But it's hard living to get to that sink. I'm agreeing with you that the way that he gets up is he unfolds in a way that creaks slowly and comes with a lot of human sounds at the bottom of the guttural tract.
You know those poppers that you get on 4th of July or New Year's that you throw on the ground? Every kid loves them. That's the exact same sound both of his feet make when they hit the ground as he steps off his bed.
It's just, so you're saying there's like snapping pops, like it's just it is crackling throughout the bedroom, like there's an electrical energy in the room that is just his cartilage creaking to life.
Yeah. With every step, it gets a little bit more faint, but it's a good 12 steps before the sound stops.
You're of the belief that no matter what he's wearing, he's emerged from bed with pockets full of Tic Tacs. That it's just
Yes.
it's just a fireworks show of knuckles crackling, and you don't know whether it's his spine.
You don't know if someone's opening a bubble wrap in the other corner. You have no idea.
But he will be ready week 9 to run a button hook for some playoff contender who needs 3 catches for 2 yards in the red zone.
If you force Jason Whitten to just do this with his knee, just move his leg up and down, is there a time where it doesn't make a cracking noise?
Oh, man.
Because I don't think so.
No.
I think it'll crack every damn time.
No, but you're alleging that it will crack while still. You're alleging that it's
there'll be a random sound that comes from his body when he's perfectly still.
like a random popcorn kernel that's been after you've turned off the stove.
I think Mike is alleging that his bones are made of Rice Krispie treats.
Exactly. When you pour milk on them.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Can I read his game log from last year? 'Cause it's delightful.
Please. Hold on.
It's
Yes.
delightful.
Please do this. Thank you. Whittingham, finally, we were stumbling around the Whitten bedroom. We went through the bathroom, and I'm looking for where's the place? Where's the place that we can finish it? And yes, the Jason Whitten game log is the place to finish it.
Oh man, don't mention that, man. Please.
And while you read his game log, I will just position myself the way I believe his body to be positioned when he makes it to the sink.
Okay, and where is the sink in the room?
It's after the 12 steps. The feet have finally subsided in terms of Tic Tac sounds that are coming from him. Okay. And he's finally made it to the sink. It's going to take him a good 5 minutes to actually brush up his teeth up.
Because this is, I know we're live. Hold on, before you go, please. We are on YouTube, and so some of you are getting a simulation of what the ESPN News experience was with some limited technology here on Zoom. But do you have the ability back there for the audio-only audience to get something that sounds like a jar of coins or Tic Tacs or something that illustrates to us maracas, something that illustrates to us that you going to button hook on the sink will make an assortment of cartilage tearing sounds so that Jason Whitten goes and button hooks as Chris Whittingham. Now, he came out of retirement. I think we can all say it now. One of the most bland broadcasters in the history of giving assignments on broadcast television. It is flabbergasting how a Cowboys team who hasn't done shit for 3 decades continues to get all the great broadcasting jobs, whether it is Troy Aikman or Tony Romo or Jason Whitten. Not coincidentally, just the white Cowboys. Whoever the white Cowboys are, let's give them all the broadcasting jobs. And he was useless. You could have stuffed a pillow with traveling peanuts and gotten the same thing in terms of commentary from what Jason Whitten gave you. Mike is ready.
I'm ready for the primarily sight gag, but also a sonic.
Okay, well, you could just do it while Whittingham is putting together the game log. How many games did he play last year for Gruden? Because, of course, Gruden said, I need Whitten on my team. You know what? I see the future at the position. It's not this Waller guy. It's Whitten.
He registered stats in 10 games last year.
But how many did he play in, though? How many?
Well, it's hard because I only have games where he had a pass target. So he might have played in more, but the game log only features 10 games.
I'm also going to push back at the notion that John Gruden doesn't think Darren Waller's the future of the position. He had a game where he had like 20 receptions.
I understand, but it came as a surprise to Gruden, who still wants to do it with Whitten. All the things Waller did were in spite of and instead of the things that John Gruden believes a tight end should be. which is just Jason Whitten. Really, you're going to bring out the Gruden for a second before we get to this, Chris. I haven't seen the Gruden in a while. I haven't seen your Gruden in a while.
It's more of just a face thing, man. But
He does a face. I'll do this.
he's a football guy.
Jason Whitten, man. That's a football player, man. That is a guy.
Whittingham, are you ready?
Do that serpentine route.
I suspect it'll become evident soon enough for the people not watching on video when Mike Ryan has inhabited the character Daniel Day-Lewis of the tight end Jason Whitten running the route. I hope he has some things there that will give us the audio payoff. Are you ready, Chris Whittingham?
I am indeed. We begin September the 13th of last year in a 34-30 win for the Raiders over Carolina. 1 catch, 2 yards.
Oh, okay, he's still in bed. He's still in bed. He's cracking his neck in bed is all he's doing. He's just waking up is all. This isn't, I don't think this is him even sitting on the bed yet. This is just him trying to get up from crackle. Go ahead, Chris Whittingham.
In a 34-24 win over the Saints. 1 catch, 3 yards.
Okay, he's sitting up. He's sitting up in the bed now. He's a lot of sounds, a lot of orifices hurt. Everything is. That's his rib cage. Just the fascia unsticking on his rib cage there. Go ahead, Whittingham.
Against the Bills in a 30-23 defeat. 2 catches, 18 yards, and a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Why?
Oh, he has stood up.
Oh, God.
Go ahead, Whittingham.
In a 40-32 victory over the Chiefs for the Raiders. 2 catches, 6 yards. In a 45-20 defeat to the Bucks. 1 catch, 6 yards.
I believe this to be the funniest thing we've ever done.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Sorry, Lord.
In a 16-6 win over the Cleveland Browns. 2 catches, 21 yards, a high for the season.
Yes. This is still him pacing around the bed before button hook time. The bathroom is not, it's still off in the distance, and it seems like it's going to be a hell of a journey.
In a 31-26 victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. 1 catch, 0 yards.
Whittingham, I love that all of these are shootouts.
Such high-scoring games.
It's like the quarterbacks are shooting rockets out their ass, and it's 1 catch for 0 yards over here for bald-headed Whitten. Go ahead, keep going.
In a 35-31 defeat to the Chiefs. 1 catch, 1 yard.
There's just a sound that comes from him rubbing his
eyes. Yes,
he's been hit a
I
lot.
was gonna help you there. He's now rubbing the sleep from his eyes. It's not green. It's orange and rusty crust. It just closes over his eyes in a way that doesn't allow him to see in the morning.
In a 31-28 victory over the New York Jets. 0 catches, 0 yards, 1 target.
This is the best game long I've ever heard in my life.
Turning on the light in the bathroom.
Oh, wait, you are? So you're already at the bathroom?
I'm in the bathroom. I'm about to turn on the light.
Okay, but so what'd you do? You cleared out the route before you ran it?
I
You just
considered stepping on a toy that my kid left on the floor, but that would be too difficult to convey without a full body shot. So we are now in the bathroom.
That would have been good, though. What would that have sounded like if we had been treated to that without the visual accompaniment?
Oh, God! Taylor! Taylor!
Is it a Lego?
God damn it! Taylor! Sorry, Lord.
Whitty, how many games we got left?
1.
All right, this is it. Let's hear. Here is the.
All right, I'm
Here.
about to flip on the light.
All right, hold on, but hold on. We've got.
Blackout shades.
All right, we've got to hear the pass route.
Oh, searing light, Lord!
Oh, well,
Sorry
there-
again.
No. See, no, you got to be careful with that. We can make fun of the body ailments. We got to be careful with the stuff that goes through the skull.
No, it's just he's very rich. He has blackout shades. Okay.
In a 26-25 defeat to the Miami Dolphins, 5 targets,
Oh,
2 catches, 12 yards.
Finished with 69 yards on the season.
Nice.
For all of you who have found our show unsatisfying during a pandemic as we left ESPN and have tried to figure out a whole bunch of stuff out, just know that the last 18 months have been really hard to bring you the kind of show that you've become accustomed to getting around here. And that is reflected in the SUIs that take us through the pandemic and has a lot of stuff in it from a year that's been totally crazy. The year of all of our lifetimes. I mean, maybe more awful stuff or weird stuff has happened to you, but I believe that we're in the present of an apocalyptic biblical, hurt for our generation across everything that America is dealing with.
You're a writer.
I mean, it's just been terrible. It's been a daily depressing sadness, all of it. You pick up, you turn on your television, you see what's happening in Afghanistan, you see fires and floods wiping out areas, you see somehow that Louisiana and Florida and Mississippi, we can solve everything with money. We're the United States. We could solve Afghanistan with money. Not quite. We can solve the virus with money because we've got an access to vaccines that not even Japan has. And you've got in the worst 5 places, last I checked, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Florida are with Botswana and like the country of Georgia with all the money in the world. And we are in the middle of the fire here in Miami because Florida's on fire with sickness and disease. But we're going to continue to try to celebrate the SUIs around this with Best Laugh as a category we have to get to. And during the last 18 months of difficulty, as people start coming back into the studio here and the show gets a little bit back to normal, football season always carries us with content and makes all of this a great deal easier. And the way that we're breaking down the season, getting you ready for football season as the preseason games start. If you're just joining us, we are recreating Jason Whitten getting out of bed in the morning and trying to get to his sink. Chris Cody has alleged, and I believe the audience agrees with him, that Jason Whitten, before brushing his teeth, runs a button hook into the bathroom. We are recreating that. We've gotten to the stage that Jason Whitten has done all of the route running in the bedroom, all of the preparation, all of the body creaking, and now, finally, in a bit of audio charades that most people will not be seeing video of this. They will only be getting this as an audio experience.
Oh, we can play charades and not Pictionary?
We will now get your game didn't have any audio accompaniment. It was just you showing drawings to Renee Montgomery and nobody could see them. And we weren't even on YouTube. So it was just you two on the Zoom.
Tomato, Dan.
Potato.
It wasn't YouTube. It was YouTube.
You right now are listening to Jason Whitten after going through all the crackling morning crackles.
I didn't run my button hook. I'm very upset about that.
Well, now you're going to do it. So you are joining.
So I'm leaving the sink. I'm going to do my I have a palatial bathroom. Sure, why not? I can do my button hook in there.
Oh, for sure. He's got a palatial bathroom and a palatial master bedroom and a palatial palace.
And there's like something on the wall that's in cute kind of cursive that says bless his house.
Yeah.
We're going to put him in the Hall of Fame. You think that's embroidered or is it in gold? Is it in gold on the gate out front?
No, it looks like a Cracker Barrel like balcony.
It's engraved on wood, like
Yeah.
wooden slabs that are
Yeah.
meant to look distressed, but
Yeah.
they're not. They're brand new.
Yeah, keep your elbows tight because there's a lot of fake splintering. It just messes with the mind.
Are there fountains in there? Is there a courtyard? Like what
you
is
have this
it?
way fancier. No, this is Southern hospitality.
But there's a
Fine.
ranch right there.
I'm also surprised you've never been to a Cracker Barrel, I must say.
I have been. There's an acreage here though as well, is there not?
This is Chip and Joanna Gaines' aesthetic, Dan. We're talking farmhouse chic.
Ugh, enough of them.
This is like a Chrisley Knows Best bathroom, I think.
All right. So, but can you take us through can you just take us through the whole home before you get to running this route as we're joined in progress on a joke that has taken too long to deliver the punchline? Just take us through. We're at the gate and we're being intercommed in. Can you just take us on a tour before we get to the rising? This is a rooster crowing rising from Jason Whitten. He gets up with a rooster, correct?
Yeah, he gets up with a rooster. You pass 3 farm homes, rustic.
Is there a tractor out front?
Yes, that he hops on.
Is there a truck with testicles on the back?
Yes, of course, that he hops on.
Oh, truck nuts.
Yeah, truck nuts. But it's like simple but lavish on the inside, understated.
Is there
but
anything?
purposefully.
Is there anything to show that he was a cowboy anywhere? Are there statues, fountains? Is there anything on the lawn?
There is a huge painting of him running 30 yards without a helmet.
Wait a
That
minute.
is-
But that's inside the
Yeah.
house. That's not. There's not a.
Dan,
Wait a minute.
But that is the visual.
No, I believe that a landscaper has been brought in, and through the shrubbery,
it's also in the
it
landscape.
has been sculpted into the shrubs.
There's that time that he was bleeding from his head.
What, that wasn't the same time. It wasn't. He wasn't running 20.
You would
30
think
yards.
it would be the same moment because he was running 30 yards without a helmet, but I believe these are different instances.
Okay, look, this is funny. It's
like
also
J.J. Watt, I believe the bridge of his nose was bleeding for 2 full seasons.
Will you put it on the poll,
Just
Guillermo?
an open wound.
Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Was the bridge of J.J. Watt's nose bleeding for 2 consecutive seasons? Again, you're being unrealistic, and I demand that you respect the game. There's not a painting outside. That painting you speak of is inside.
It's inside, but I didn't really have much for outside because I'm a city slicker, Dan.
Okay, so we're inside the house now.
There's one of those big things of hay. I don't know what country folk do.
A bale of hay.
There's a lot of vases, but there's nothing in the vases. They're just there as decoration.
Again, you guys are in the house. Are we done with the outside of the palace? Are we done? Are we now inside the house?
Well, there's multiple waterfalls outside, and they are all man-made.
Any fountains? Any fountains? Any statues?
No fountains or statues, just a really nice landscaped waterfall with some nice stonework, hired a very expensive
You don't believe on
stonemason.
one side of the yard is Tony Romo dropping back, and on the other side of the yard is a statue of Whitten button hooking? You don't think that that's a thing that happens in the yard? Okay. No statues in the yard. We're now in the house, and he has woken from slumber. He has gotten the rusty crust out of his eyes. He has done all the calisthenics. He is ready to run his button hook before brushing his teeth.
Still got it. That's a button. I forgot about that. Now we arrive at the toilet, Dan.
You know what I mean? It's going to start again, isn't it? I hope so.
Come on. You got it. Come on, champ.
Come on. Come on. You're better than this. You're better
I
than
am
this.
decidedly not. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm not.
Is something just, is a rock going to fall out? Is a clot of some sort going to just fall out of Champ? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. His penis sounds, Champ sounds like a water bottle. Oh, come on. Come on.
I think something came out on that.
Come on. You're better than this. I mean, wait a minute. Come on. This is ridiculous. This is not. This is ceased to be believable in any way. It's just ridiculous.
Surprise.
Mike.
Fiend.
No, I don't want you to do Fiend. What I want you to do is I want to go off of YouTube and I want you to have 5 extra minutes of water flowing in the podcast by itself. I've been wanting to talk to this guy for a while because he's got an unusual and cool story. He was mashing. His best season wasn't this season, even though everyone got attention for the story because he overcame cancer and he sat out a season. But Trey Mancini, your best season was right before you were diagnosed, right? Like you
Yes.
hit close to 40 home runs that season.
Yeah, it was a great breakout year. It's my third season, and I was really happy with how it went, and by all accounts, everything was really looking up after that season. And then about 6 months later, I got the shocking news during spring training.
So were there symptoms, or were you just feeling as strong as ever and now you're blindsided? You've had the season of your life. You've been working your entire career to do something that very few people can attain. Play in the big leagues, hit home runs. That's, top 1% of the top 1%. And now you're showing no symptoms of anything?
Yeah, basically no symptoms. If you go on Google and you Google colon cancer symptoms, I basically had none of that. The only thing was I was like a little fatigued, I'd say, and I'd get gassed a little bit. Like when I was hitting in the cage, I'd just get tired a little more easily. And I just go home every day and like take like really long naps. So basically like my fatigue was the only thing, but I just attributed that to just getting a little older. Even though I wasn't that old, I was like 27 going on 28 at the time. So I wasn't, really that old, but I brushed it off and didn't really think anything was wrong, but it was a blood test. It was my iron levels in the physical that we do in spring training that led to the diagnosis.
People underrate, though, just how grueling the baseball schedule is. So you could have just been tired from baseball, correct?
Yeah, yes, but we had just gotten to spring training when I was feeling like this, so it was a little odd that I was kind of like that right at the beginning of the season, because that's when you feel the most refreshed. You're ready to go right when you get to spring training. So that was a little odd, but at the same time, it was just such a slow progression, I think, that I didn't even realize it that much, and I kind of brushed it off because I had been feeling like that for a little while and didn't even know it consciously.
How quickly did you go to life in jeopardy, or did the first place you end up, and this happens a lot with athletes and identity, career in jeopardy?
Baseball was the last thing I thought about whenever I got the news. I can truly say that whenever the doctor, I got a colonoscopy done, and then when I woke up, the doctor kind of took me through the procedure, told me what happened and what he found. And it was shocking. My girlfriend, Sarah, was there with me, and I looked over at her face, and I've never seen her look like that. She was trying to stay strong, but I could tell she was just completely devastated. And it was really scary. I didn't know a lot about colon cancer at the time. I didn't know that I needed to go get a CT scan immediately to see if it traveled anywhere else in my body, because that is huge in determining, survival rates and things like that. So, I'm a little happy that I didn't know all that, because it would have made me even more scared. But hearing you have cancer, and I knew that I probably wasn't going to be able to play that season, but I didn't even care about that. I just wanted to get healthy and live a long life.
How hard was that period?
It was really difficult, but you go into fight or flight mode whenever that happens. And the 6 or 7 months that followed, I got surgery and then chemotherapy after. I look back and it feels like an alternate universe almost. I feel like it didn't happen sometimes. And like I said, you go into fight or flight mode, and then you're kind of left after you go through it. You finish chemotherapy, and then you are just kind of like, what just happened to me? Like, I can't believe it. And then you start thinking about it more afterwards. So it was really difficult, but I think almost after it was over was really when it hit me, like what I just went through.
How long before you were hopeful?
I remained hopeful the whole time. I always joke, I think I handled last year in a lot of ways better than I sometimes do baseball day to day. I'm a pretty intense person. I expect a lot out of myself on the baseball field. And, last year, I knew that it was something that I couldn't control for the most part, but I had to keep a positive attitude, and especially to keep, my family and friends, hopeful as well. I needed to stay strong and everything like that. So I never lost hope. I always knew that I had a good chance to get through it and eventually could maybe get back to playing baseball. But like I said, I was just, fighting every day.
How about lost strength?
I lost a lot of strength, and that was the biggest thing. Like once chemotherapy was over, it obviously takes a toll on you. I had 12 chemotherapy sessions every other week for like 5.5 months. So at the end of it, my body had definitely changed a little bit. I had like all my leg strength disappeared for the most part. I did what I could whenever I felt decent between treatments, but I had a lot of work to do, and I worked really, really hard, in the off season to try to get back to where I was before. And I did a good job of it, but it still took until I'd say like a month into this season to when I really felt like myself physically.
Can you explain to us what it does to a home run hitter to not have leg strength?
Yeah, it's hard. Your legs are the key to hitting. So you got to have a good base, a lot of strength in your legs, and that's where it all starts. So it definitely was like really important for me, like I said, just to get my leg strength back, and I knew it was going to take some time, but thankfully it did come back, and I feel as good as ever now. But I almost had to start from square one.
Well, take us through that, the start of that journey because I imagine you're at the bottom of a mountain, right? You've come off of nearly 40 home runs. Now you go through 12 chemo treatments, and you're going out to batting practice, or you find the strength in your legs to go out, and what pathetic thing happens because you can't do much of anything?
Yeah. So like I took it really slowly. So I didn't even go out and like hit BP immediately because I hadn't touched a bat in 7 months. I went from February till October, so like 8 months actually. So I just went in and swung off a tee at first, and then just kind of slowly progressed. And the more important thing for me was like working out, doing my workouts, getting my leg strength back that way, and then that would translate to hitting. So like I said, it was a slow progression. I hit off the tee for a couple months, and I do like front toss a little bit, and then in January I started hitting off somebody throwing to me. So I took it slow, and that's how you should do it in that situation. But it took a long time to come back. Whenever I faced a live pitching for the first time this February in spring training, it felt like a completely new sport to me, and I had to get used to it again.
Take us through that. How fast was everything moving? Because at the height of, you cannot take that much time off and then go up there and hit 98, correct? Everything's moving. 98's 118, right? Like
98 might as well be 118. I mean, it is completely different. And normally it's still an adjustment on a normal season when you end at the end of September, and then you don't see live pitching again till late February or the following March. That's a hard enough adjustment in a regular year. And then I had 18 months of not seeing a major league pitcher throw a ball. So it looked like it was coming in a million miles an hour to me. And there were times the first few days when I was up there hitting against our pitching, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to make contact with the baseball again, because it just looked like a foreign object to me. But eventually, you remember, muscle memory comes back, things like that. But it is a slow process, and you have to be patient. And at times I was not. Luckily I was able to find it again.
Pete Alonso's a jerk, right? Because like we were all watching the home run derby together thinking, oh my God, this is going to be such a great story. Trey Mancini's going to come all the way back. He's going to win the home run derby. And then that jerk Pete Alonso comes and he wins the home run derby, and he steals your moment.
Yeah,
he steals what would have been this great feel-good thing that would have united this nation,
That's right.
Not to oversell it a little bit, brought us all together.
Yes.
Everything would have been solved and cured
That's
because
right.
Trey Mancini won the home run derby, and then Pete Alonso came
That's
in
right.
and he took it from you.
Jerk.
Oh man, yeah, Pete deserved that.
No, he didn't.
No, he
Yeah, he
didn't.
did.
Jerk.
I got
Deserved to be called a jerk.
Yes, a jerk is what he deserved. Took away our feel-good story. Didn't deserve shit. What's the matter with you? Don't be the baseball magnanimous guy.
I don't want anybody to ever let me win. So if he did that, I would have told him to get back in the box and hit 2 more home runs and win the competition.
Not let you win. Just make it look like he was trying his hardest to deny us the story.
He is built for that competition. The other 7 of us in the competition got pretty gassed and we were tired. Pete was ready to keep going. I feel like at the end, whenever I went up and congratulated him, he was not out of breath at all. It was one of the more impressive things I've ever seen.
Trey, take us through how long when you're hitting live pitching, how many days of this are you up there? Because that sounds horrible. To go from all of the rehab you did to overcome this thing, to return to your strength, to get into a batter's box where the sport is moving so fast that you're not sure, wait a minute, this is not the same sport I left. I am not the same human being. How long did that last?
A while. I really struggled the first 3 weeks of the season this year, and I was like questioning if I was able to still play at this level in a way. It takes a long time, and it took until the end of April is when I, like, for the first time I'd say felt like myself in the box again. So and that was after 2 months of spring training and hard work there. So it's a slow progression, and you have to be patient. In hindsight, I should have accepted that and been a little more patient and known that that's probably how it was going to work out, but I didn't. I was, getting really angry, frustrated, things like that. But like I said, luckily I started feeling like myself again at the end of April, but it took a lot of time, and it bled into the regular season. I thought I was going to have it all figured out during spring training, but that's not the case.
You've alluded to it. So what is the rage looking like? The frustration, the impatience? Take us, because you're doing something that's very hard to do. You're doing it at the top of the sport. Or no offense for the Orioles, but still, you're hitting home runs is a very difficult thing to do. And you're going through, you're saying you're not hopeless, but I imagine this anger and this impatience is foreign to you, right? Because the game that you used to be, no matter what you were doing, either in high school or anywhere else, you were always good at this.
Right. And I've always been a very intense guy when I play baseball, but I think some of it also comes from, I became really well known this year. I think mostly because I was sick last year in my story, and I know it's resonated with a lot of people, and I want to be a spokesperson for anybody with cancer and especially colon cancer. But I think there has been at times like some anger and bitterness, I'd say, that I've kind of become known for that and not baseball or, who I was before this happened to me. So at times I've tried so hard to perform and prove to everyone that I'm like the same player that I was before this happened to me. And, I have to remember and accept that might not always be the case. I've definitely changed in some ways after last year, and I have to accept that. But I think I always feel like I have something to prove. And I think after last year, I'm just trying to prove that I'm the same player. And I think that's where a lot of the anger and frustration can come out.
Do you have a tremendous Buck Showalter story for us? The Orioles, the last 4 seasons of his tenure, it seemed like he was always down 8-1 in the third inning and angrily stomping out to the mound to remove a pitcher. Do you have a wonderful Buck Showalter as an old school baseball guy story for us?
Oh man, Buck. So there was one game. We actually just left Fenway. I remember there was one game where we were getting beat pretty bad. It was, I want to say 2018, and that 2018 Red Sox team was the best team I've ever played against. They were absolutely incredible. They lit it up the whole year. And there was one game. It was really early on, and they put up 8 or 9 runs, I think. And I want to say Xander Bogaerts hit a home run. And before Bogaerts even got to second base, Buck was already at the mound to take our pitcher out. He beat Bogaerts, before Bogaerts, like I said, got to second base or even touched home. Buck was out there taking the next guy out. So that was kind of an old school move on Buck. But looking back, it was a pretty funny moment.
In those 3 weeks that you were coming through and facing 98, 99, did you have one in particular where a guy is throwing 102 and you're going back to the dugout with you got to be kidding me. This is unacceptable.
So it was actually my first game back. I got to hit my first at bat, which I was really happy about. And then my second at bat, I came up and the guy, he wasn't throwing 102. It was like 91, 92. And he blew 3 fastballs by me, and I didn't swing till it was in the catcher's glove. It looked like it was coming in at 115. So that's when the excitement of the first at bat kind of faded, and I was like, oh God, I got a lot of work to do. And I got my work cut out for me here, because that was not good. And I've never really swung through 3 fastballs like that before. So that was kind of when reality set in a little bit.
What's the most moved you've been, because this was a very difficult return and you were greeted very warmly on your first day, but I imagine just being in the home run competition was something that would draw you to tears in the locker room.
Yeah, definitely. And around that time, just so many people reached out to me and were telling me their stories. What helped me last year was talking to other people who had survived colon cancer and been through it. And I've met a lot of people this year who have told me how much my story impacted them and is helping them. I think when you're going through that, talking to somebody who's previously been through it is the most important thing and is one of the only things that can really make you feel better about the situation. So being that person now for others, has really touched me and I'm happy to do it. And I try to talk to everybody that I can that reaches out to me and tells me their story.
You're a Notre Dame lunatic, and one of the strongest conferences
Yes.
every year in our Looks Like tournament is the Brian Kelly Conference. Did you want me to ask him some Notre Dame questions before I get to Brian Kelly Looks Likes?
Trey, is the baseball house in South Bend the most disgusting place in the state of Indiana?
It's either that or the Lax House. It's one or the two. It's
So
an
true.
everlasting competition between those two houses. Looking back, whenever you step foot in that house, you couldn't even walk because your foot stuck to the floor. It was gross. I never lived in the house, and I always wanted to in college. And then now looking back, it's actually a really good thing I didn't because that place was disgusting.
I think that's where the COVID pandemic actually originated. Yeah.
Is ground zero for COVID. It's that disgusting. We really went inside Notre Dame here. That's the most Notre Dame moment that we have had on this show.
I believe it's Wuhan where the COVID
Thank you,
pandemic started.
fancy lad. We appreciate it. Yes, thank you. That's a good correction. Does Brian Kelly look like a park ranger who just wants to double check that you properly reserved your campsite? Yes, okay, I'll take that as a yes. Okay.
Yeah, he does.
Yes, he
It's
does.
good.
Well, he's going to look like all of
Yeah.
these, I think. Does Brian Kelly look like a beer nut?
Yeah.
Okay. Does Brian Kelly look like a small town mayor who sits behind his desk all day dressed in a tuxedo even though he has no meeting scheduled?
I don't know. That's good too. I'm going to say yes.
Does Brian Kelly look like the guy screaming no wake at a 50-foot yacht that is swamping his dock? The owner of that yacht, of course, is Jeff Fisher.
Yes.
Does Brian Kelly look like the guy who gets cut after the first round of Chopped but still insists he's the best chef in the kitchen? Does Buck
Yes.
Showalter look like the old Texas lawman who squashes disputes at the local saloon by simply swinging open the double doors and staring down his rowdy patrons? The rowdy
Most
patrons,
definitely.
of course, are Richie Incognito and Indomitian Sue.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Trey. We appreciate your time. Thank you for spending it with us.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.
We've got another suey to get to. I'm looking forward to this week. There are a lot of sueys. This is a short category. There are a number of different things that I want to get to. But, Mike, we have an answer on J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick is alleging that the guy who accused everyone of tampering, Lonzo Ball to the Bulls and Pat Riley getting Kyle Lowry, that David Griffin, because he lost out on these guys, a sneaker, he snuck in here. Nobody had Griff as the guy, correct? We were talking about a whole bunch of others. We were talking about Dallas. I don't feel like we were talking enough about New Orleans.
We were talking about the teams that we suspected filed that complaint, and Philadelphia came to mind. New Orleans actually makes the most sense. Now, I have since confirmed that the suspicions point that way, and it's not really a Mike Ryan exclusive. It's really a J.J. Redick exclusive.
Are there any Mike Ryan exclusives? Because I heard, I will not betray any confidences here, but we had some news here.
Dan, I'm not ready to go public with that, but I am working on perhaps my greatest Mike Ryan exclusive ever. This is better than even Messi coming to Miami.
I believe you've got a huge story that we care about around here, but I don't understand why you can't break it today. What is the problem with breaking it today?
If I break this Mike Ryan exclusive in this moment, I potentially hurt some feelings. I'm not in the Scoops game to hurt feelings.
Do you want to keep teasing this the way Colin Cowherd is teasing all his announcements on whatever it is that he's doing in the podcast world?
Let's just say that we're going to be making some moves here in the shipping container, and some profiles are going to be raised. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
I'm the new Heat broadcaster.
Mysterious. A lot of mysterious stuff. Well, what
Congrats.
what can I say about what you did this weekend? Because you were sort of applying for a job locally. I just don't know how secret this is because I can't.
Very secret. Literally everything you're mentioning right now, we can't talk about.
Come on.
It's all embargoed.
It's a slow burn.
Come on, baby.
I can't
You're
wait.
very new to this video content game. All right. You want everything right now. Right now. Slow
I
burn.
want to know what we can tell the people about what Chris just did with a local sports team.
Look, we're a startup company. We're still building out our legal department. There are consequences if you run with these scoops. We're not ready yet, Dan.
We'll do funniest thing from the sports weekend in a second. Before we do the last suey of the day, though, and funniest thing, did you guys see the first installment of the Netflix series Untold? Malice in the Palace. They finally did a documentary, and Jermaine O'Neal gave away some of the goods when he was doing that interview with us. So some stuff that might have landed as like, oh, I didn't know that, was spoiled for me because he was on with us and said a lot of interesting things about stuff that I didn't know. I would understand why Detroit would not like that documentary. I was a little confused, and it's certainly allowed to be the Pacers' perspective, and I'm guessing the NBA had some ability in giving over the footage to control what it was used and what wasn't used. I'm guessing they had some editing control. Jermaine O'Neal didn't want to talk about that. But when I watched it, I was like, oh, the Reggie Miller story, that's a story that's interesting perhaps to that Pacers team and how good it was. But I wanted more on the fight. I wanted more. I mean, you had some people in that documentary who are this wasn't that long ago. Like their language is coded and racist. Like you have broadcasters. This is not fringe broadcasters. This was the conversation of the time. It was okay to be referring to the Pacers who were protecting themselves on the court. And again, I will find endlessly funny that Turtle from Entourage in the Pistons jersey decided that with all of his judgment, I'm going to square up Ron Artest on the court. I think that's a good idea. I wanted a documentary on just that. Like, what are you thinking? Why are you on the court? And I just wanted to listen to that guy for an hour talk about what are you thinking trying to square up Ron Artest.
I think the best sports documentaries are the ones who are able to take a specific moment and tie it into a broader cultural conversation. And this one, I think, had the opportunity to do that and talk about the history of racism in the NBA. and like really hammer out how the media covering the NBA was incredibly white and using the word thug to describe these players, and how this was kind of a culmination of decades of racism in the sport that really became prominent from this specific fight. And I think it kind of fell flat on that part. I think it told an interesting story. I liked the interviews. I thought the interviews were with Steven Jackson and with Jermaine O'Neal, and Ron Artest, they were really well done and candid and excellent. But I think it really needed to go to that next level to be a really, really amazing documentary.
That is, and the footage and the story is an easy start, right? On lighting the fuse to I will get you in the tent because I have this amazing story. But that's where it failed by a note for me. The best documentaries always don't even have to hit you over the head with, oh, give me a little something more than, yes, coded language of thug, that's not cool, but there's a whole bunch of layers to how those guys, specifically those guys punching the customers, defending themselves in a court fight that Jermaine O'Neal would have for 10 years as Ron Artest is on. That was one of the interesting details Jermaine O'Neal gave us. He's laying on the scorer's table trying to apply the tools handed to him by a therapist for emotion control because he's someone who, before we understood mental illness, they still had a therapist running around everywhere with Ron Artest trying to get him on the court however it is they could with someone. Now it becomes so much less funny, Mike. That story about Ron Artest getting to a playoff game on a bus of corporate sponsors in his underwear, that story is so much less funny when you consider that what they were dealing with in Indiana was a player so talented who was mentally ill, and they were trying to harness all of that. And the idea that Ron Artest was on that scorer's table trying to practice the tool of patience when a cup hits him, and then the conversation the next day becomes about these players, they're at fault. They're not victims. They're all at fault. Why? Because they're big, strong black men. Police and security weren't around. They're surrounded by the enemy fan base with no security. And so I wanted to hear that part of their story, and it's a perspective I had not heard, but I wanted that extra note of, oh man, you can make this so much broader and more societal, just how those three dudes were viewed. Jermaine O'Neal was pristine high school guy with public image perfection who was just cornrows and tattoos and scared because he was surrounded, there was no security, and his 12 guys were in the stands fighting the entire crowd.
I thought they did a little bit of putting the blame on David Stern as being the judge, jury, and executioner of the NBA and deciding what the discipline was going to be. But I thought that if that was the thesis of this story was David Stern did all of this is his fault, you have to show more examples of how that was the kind of person he was then, and or else it kind of just falls flat.
It's not the kind of person that David Stern was. What David Stern, going back to Allen Iverson's tattoos being airbrushed off of an NBA-sponsored magazine, going back to a dress code because these guys had to look a certain way, and Quentin Richardson is pointing out to the commissioner and has to point it out to the commissioner, you just fined me $10,000 for wearing a turtleneck, and Stan Van Gundy has been wearing it all season. You're not trying to clean up the league. You're trying to clean up certain guys in the league so that your customer base finds it palatable that your black guys with braids and cornrows were just punching the customers. This is not who David Stern is. This is how he managed this problem. He had a race problem, and the problem was with black people. And it's a progressive league, but it's progressive right up until the dollars are getting punched in the face.
But if the problem is that the league isn't protecting its players, who's at fault for that being a problem? If there is a commissioner of the league who is in charge of everything. He blamed
the players. They made the league look to ghetto, to cornrows, to tattoos, to punching the customers. And it was Steven Jackson. It's a guy, Steven Jackson, I'm pretty sure his whole mouth is fake teeth because of something that happened in a strip club or outside a strip club in a parking lot because he was shooting a shotgun into the crowd. Steven Jackson, who has the street credibility, not into the crowd, into the sky. He was shooting a gun into the sky. Somebody tried to hit him with a car. He was suspended for that too. That team was tough and rugged and in a hostile environment with no security. They pointed out that police didn't arrive for 10 minutes after that had started. Can you imagine if you had done the documentary that you wanted, Jessica, it's about how those guys had arrived at that time surrounded by white people and they were scared in an opposing arena because things had escalated on the court and now someone had hit their mentally ill guy who was trying to stamp out his fuse with a disrespect that sent Steven Jackson behind him because he was going to defend one of his teammates.
Yeah, I feel like it was a failure on so many different parts there, from the Detroit police to the security at the arena to the league and not protecting their star players. And that, I think that point could have been hammered out a little bit more, because you do leave with a sense of like, holy shit, a lot of people here are incompetent. But I think that it really just like, it needed like some type of punch at the end to really like end it. And I just didn't get that. But there were things that I really liked in it. I thought that the interviews were all really well done. And I do like that the entire story put the story back to the players. It put the words like back on them. Like they were able to tell the story they wanted to. And I think that that's still like a really great thing. So I'm not saying that it was bad, but I do think that it just needed
You wanted more from it.
a little bit more.
Steven Jackson did have his teeth knocked out when he got run over by a car. And I think the David Stern conversation is probably a little tricky to have because it's still a little too soon from his passing. And putting the blame on him when he's not here to defend himself in this documentary might just be still a little too soon.
But then you wonder if that's why they're finally able to make this documentary now. If that's part of the story, then I think you need to be transparent with the story that you're trying to tell and how you're able to tell it.
Mike, defend himself from what? It was a protection of the dollars. This is not to rip David Stern posthumously. He ran his business well, and it meant taking out this team without mercy, because this guy was a dictator ruler, and it's part of his legacy, and everybody knows it, to protect the dollars and the commerce. He had to punish those guys because of the optics of the video.
I'm theorizing, but we know that this documentary's tried to be made a couple of times, and they couldn't clear the footage, and David Stern's passed away, and now we have cleared footage. Jermaine O'Neal didn't want to get into the particulars of how they got some footage cleared, and he seems to be made the foil in all of this, and he's not around to speak for him, and it's still a little too soon from his death. And I think that there's a navigation that still needs to be done there. To ignore that part of it is probably foolish.
But this doesn't accuse David Stern of anything other than protecting his business as he always did. And the subsequent trampling, this is not a conscious racism. This is somebody protecting his business because that's his job.
But Dan, his business is black players. Black players predominantly make up this league. So who is he protecting the business for? The white owners of those teams?
The money, the guys, the people who pay for them, the people who pay for everything, the sponsors, the way that it looks, all of it. That David Stern's genius was taking a two-black league that was on tape delay in the finals and being, you know what this is about? Race relations in this country? You want to know? It's Magic versus Bird. This is what it looks like. It's Indiana and Magic and the guy who's smiling, and we're going to sell this basketball to you. And then it goes to Michael Jordan and it gets handed over. It flourishes. It becomes a global sport. And then all of a sudden, and it goes from being a two-black sport and a drug-infested sport that couldn't reach white customers to being cleaned up everywhere. And then you arrive at this. I've got footage all over, all day of what looks like a riot in my sport. I got giant black dudes with cornrows and tattoos punching my highest paid tickets members through the front row, punching them in the face. I have a public relations disaster on my hand. How do I fix this? I'm going to bury the players. I'm going to bury them. I don't want to hear their stories. I don't want to hear anything. I'm going to bury the players so people can see I'm a hardline commissioner. What did he do other than protect his business? His business is not to protect the players. His business is protect the owners.
His business doesn't exist without players.
That's naive. Like, it's so naive. Like,
it's true.
It's naive, but it's an argument that you've made on behalf of the players' union and other sports. So there's a whole Giuliani aspect to it.
Mike, that was not a partnership. They didn't punish those players with the collective bargaining agreement through the union. They punished those players because they had a PR problem, and they had to bury those players. Their stories didn't matter. They were going to get monster games as a suspension that was going to be unprecedented because all over televisions everywhere, it looked like the black players were out of control, cornrows, tattoos, punching his customers.
Right, but David Stern, as you mentioned that the league had a very bad drug problem, and the Giuliani aspect of it is that he helped clean up the league, and so he was an extra disciplinarian.
It was just a reputation problem. It wasn't a drug problem. It was just they had a lot of black guys, and they needed to sell it to the white customers, and it had to be a sport that was embraced by white people, and it was, because Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson were not what Steven Jackson and Ron Artest are. Like that, the entire image of the league was born with sneaker commercials and these black dudes who were their specific kind of role model hero black dudes. And Jermaine O'Neal was that, except for the packaging. And he had to fight for 10 years in court to get his name back. Jermaine O'Neal made the leap that the young guys can't make, was not contaminated by making the leap from high school to no college. Who was the story that Amin was telling us about a guy who was afraid to leave, that didn't want it, missed a team function because he didn't understand dry cleaning and didn't understand laundry service and didn't have clothes to go to a team function because his closet was filled with dirty laundry. And when the team thought he was irresponsible, but he was just having trouble with the transition. Forgive me
was
for
it Kwame?
It was Kwame. Right. That is the story. Thank you. Jermaine O'Neal leapfrogged all of that and was, again, right before all of that happened. I remember the prom photos. This dude took a stranger to prom just because he was a hero, and that was what his reputation was. Here's the clean-cut guy. And now he's fighting to defend his teammates in a brawl gone sideways on the road when he's got 15 guys and he's got Ron Artest ticking on a scorer's table. The subject matter is so rich that I, too, would say what Jessica's review of it is. Like, it's an above-average documentary. It's an easy watch, and it's well done. I wanted a little more from it. Give me some laughter here. This was very serious. Give me some laughs, some suey laughs. How long is this category?
Just a couple minutes, Dan.
Who are the stars? Can you give me some? Can you tease some of it?
Let's listen together.
And now the suey nominees for Best Laugh. Austin Eckler. Kevin from The Office, Brian Baumgartner. Danny Trejo. John Lynch. Greg Norman. John Skipper. Lindsay Zarniak. Renee Montgomery.
Oh my God.
Jim Belushi.
Oh, no. Tensions were so high.
Bobby Portis. Kyle Pitts. Radko Gudas. Stugotz. Adam McKay. CC Sabathia. DL Hoogley.
No, I don't know.
Dr. J. George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre again. Greg Cody. Greg Cody again.
What was that?
It's just a maniacal laugh of mine. I've been waiting to do.
You've been working on
for
it.
the right time.
No,
Yeah,
please
exactly.
do it. Keep doing it. Let's see if it ends in a cough laugh.
Here it comes.
So wait a minute. What is the maniacal laugh that you've been working on? For what occasion?
That's it.
Tell me. No, but tell us for what occasion you've been working on
I don't know.
it.
It's just been in my wheelhouse, but sort of in the back of the wheelhouse, and it just regurgitated.
Michael Irvin.
You know,
Michael Irvin again.
y'all see all them damn trophies back there. Don't play.
Yes,
Those are Super
yeah, I
Bowl
do see a lot of trophies
National
behind you.
championship trophies, receiver of the year trophies. Y'all see it, you know what I'm saying? I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, but
you know what I'm saying?
I don't know why that delights me every year. It's the staccato stuff, right? It's ridiculously just showing you these are some of the guests we've had over the last year, and we didn't make any of them genuinely laugh. It was all the fake Michael Irvin. Do you have a library back there of fake Michael Irvin, or you just want to play the new stuff?
Please. We got the limited fake coming up later in the week, Dan. Let's not give away the goods.
Let's do funniest thing from the sports weekend here as we wrap up. We don't know if Greg Cody's going to be here tomorrow. Do we legitimately not know? All right, we'll all learn together whether Greg Cody of the Miami Herald ends his holdout. If you want more information on that, it's in the local hour, and I'm not publicizing his damn podcast. He talks exclusively there, but he no comments, and I think we got more out of him in our conversation.
Yeah, we're going to draw a hard line here in the negotiation. We will also refuse to promote the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody. Not happening.
We're not going to do it. So let's do funniest thing from the sports weekend. Let's go around the room here. Jessica, start us off.
Hey, people, tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
Tim Tebow's preseason debut with the Jaguars, his 2 blocks that went viral, Dan. I was laughing.
You guys still think he's going to make the team?
Yes.
I
even
never
more so.
No, I never thought he was going to make the
That was
team.
an effective block.
That's what I'm saying.
He
No.
did his job.
He got mocked for it, but yet the running back made it past him. It was a
sealed the
successful
edge.
Did you
block.
see the second one?
No.
It was even worse.
So
it was
bad.
even worse. Just lets a defensive end flatly go beyond him. It was like watching high school football
He's
again.
not there to block, guys, all right?
He's a tight end, Mike.
He's not there to block.
So what's he there to do then?
No, wait a second. The league is littered at that position with guys that have zero interest in blocking.
They generally catch 65 passes for 900 yards and 8 touchdowns.
That's a solid point.
Jason Whitten, we just went through his game logs
He'll
today.
block.
All right, do we think Tebow, if he makes the roster and plays, will have more or less than 69 yards this season?
Total
Less.
yards?
I say less.
Are you just saying receiving? Because he's got to have gadget plays.
Total yards.
Total yards? Might return a squib.
You
That'll
guys
help me.
think
I'll
he's
take the
going?
over.
You think he's going to be throwing passes, Mike? You don't think he's going to throw? The over under on passes thrown by Tim Tebow this year is at a half, correct? A
Sure,
half
though,
a pass.
I'm sure he's got a gimmick package. Don't you think?
You guys are so delusional. No.
He's not making the team.
He's not making the team. If
His playbook
Urban
is not being
wants
used.
a leader, like, why would you not hire him as an assistant coach?
Maybe
Well, he
that's
won't
coming.
take that job. No, he won't take that job. He wants to play.
Yeah, he wants to play.
Whittingham, what was the funniest
He
thing?
went up against the Browns, guys. I mean, the competition's stiff.
What is the funniest? Oh my God, we've got a season of that to look forward to.
They look good.
Whittingham, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
The guy who missed the walk-off homer in the Field of Dreams game because he was on his phone.
And you blame him?
What do you mean? can you
Baseball games are
blame him?
so long.
That game was great.
Yeah, but it's boring after a while. You got to look at your phone. He's probably watching TikToks.
I love Tim Anderson. One of the quotes that went viral, obviously he said on this show that baseball was boring, but he said on the Ryan Rucco and CC Sabathia podcast, he said one of the most audacious things I've ever heard an athlete say, which is, I just play baseball because I'm good at it. Like, he's got no use for the sport in any other way. It's just he's excellent, and it's probably pretty fun when you're winning a game with a walk-off hit into the corn. That was the highest rated regular season baseball game in 16 years. Baseball does nostalgia still great.
I've had it confirmed to me through various sources that Tim Anderson will never join this show again, so long as the White Sox live and breathe. And that is a Mike Ryan exclusive.
Wow.
Because the White Sox were so mad that he said the sport was boring on our show after
Yep.
winning Player of the Month.
Yep,
Well, how's that our fault?
it's your fault. You asked him.
I'll-
You had the platform. It went viral. You asked him about the sport. He answered honestly. How dare you?
Should I go to war with the White Sox? We got a White Sox correspondent here at Meadowlark Media, Mike Schur. That's what we shouldn't go to war with the White Sox. That's,
No, we shouldn't.
I mean, what are they keeping that? He's one of the most fun guys in the sport. You're afraid he's
Can't
going
be
to say
fun.
can't be fun. Okay, very good. Chris, what was the funniest thing, Cody, from the sports weekend?
Mina Kimes, just everything about it.
What about you, Mike? What do you got?
I watched Triple A's Triple Mania over the weekend. For those unfamiliar, it is basically Lucha Libre's WrestleMania. I had to find a stream of it because it wasn't available over the top television here in the United States, and I had a ball on Saturday night. Uncorked another bottle of wine, sat down in front of Twitch.
All you're by yourself?
By myself. It was a group chat experience, though, because it was great. And I found my favorite luchador, El Nino Hamburguesa.
I saw him. El Nino Hamburguesa is a big fat guy, but not terribly big and fat, just somebody who likes hamburgers.
It roughly translates into hamburger boy. And he looks every bit of it.
Hamburguesa is a funny word. It's indisputably. And is it one of those Spanish words that all people who don't speak Spanish can recognize?
Yeah, because it's very similar.
I'm not sure if I knew what that meant.
Hamburguesa?
Hamburguesa.
If you had to guess what I'm saying.
Context clues. What is it?
I honestly don't know.
El Niño Hamburguesa.
If I spell it for you, H-A-M, you are super not Miami. Hamburgesa.
I got my Marlin shirt and a Tito the Cafecito pin on, Dan. I would say I'm pretty Miami right now.
Hamburg. I
gave it away. It's hamburger boy, but
I think if I saw it written down, I would definitely know.
Tony, do you have anything that qualifies for funniest thing from the sports weekend?
So, Dan, hey, long time no see. My funniest thing of the sports weekend is actually under embargo right now. I can't say it over the air, but it was funny.
It's what
I thought you were going to say something else.
I thought you were going to say something else when you said you were in front of your television. I thought Twitch was going to take on a different
I'm not
meeting.
masturbating to AAA. You're head out of the gutter. It was fuck. That's what I thought he was going to say.
Yeah.
Your funniest thing is not helpful to anybody.
It is not. It was. I think I caught him off guard. But I want to say, Tony and Chris were doing stuff locally. It's all I can say right now because it's been embargoed. Billy, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Greg Cody of the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody refusing to come into work, continuing his holdout, and also refusing to answer whether or not he would say hi to a former colleague at Publix.
I mean, that's mine. That's mine right there. He wants clicks for his podcast. He's got a legitimate Armando Salguero. He can have some juicy scoop because he says his honest feelings on his podcast, and he no comments his son.
Instead, we talked to Greg Lobo.
How was that?
Pretty good, actually.